So hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. We're going to think about the shape of our spine. So when we're in this perfect position, we're in our neutral, natural curves, neutral spine, which equals the natural curves. We're going to take one leg off and you're going to draw the knee in, but use your muscles. Really draw that knee in as far as you can, and it makes my back round, absolutely fine. I want you to round your back as much as possible, and I'm actively trying to get my knee on my forehead. I'm going to take the opposite hand and just reach it to touch, not to hang on to the knee and pull it in, that would be cheating, to touch that ankle and then extend and lift. So hopefully you were watching me then, so I didn't ask you to watch me, but we're going to do 5 of those on one side, then we're going to hold that position and take some circles at the hands and the feet. Or circles actually at the shoulders and the hips. So let's go again on that same side. So drawing the knee in, round everything. I'm using my abs, pulling my abs in really tight, tucking under in that lower back. As you extend out, brush the floor, fingertips and toes, and then lift. Now think about your square box, and then come in. Same side, round, reach the hands. I'm reaching towards the outside of that ankle. I'm making it quite awkward for myself because I want to heighten my awareness. I don't want to hang on to that leg, extending out. I don't think I touched the floor on the way out then. Naughty. And then we're rounding, drawing everything in, touching the floor this time before we lift. 2 more of these, here we go. Round that back, tuck the pelvis under, try and get your upper back lifted, brush the floor and extend. Check that your tissue box is square. Last one, rounding. Brush the floor and lift. Hold it there. Circle at the foot and the fingertips. Toes and fingertips are drawing the circle. That's where we put our stickers. But the movement, change direction if you can, is coming from the shoulder and the hip. Everything else is staying still. And it might not be a very good circle, especially when you change direction. And then let's reset, touch the floor, bring the hand and the knee back in. Ooh, and have a little break backwards. Hips all the way back to your heels. Twiddle those fingers again, circle the wrists. I'm rolling from side to side. That feels nice just to release any stress in the hips. All a good bit of multitasking. And then we've got all of that on the other side. So, drawing the other leg in as much as you can. Try and get the forehead on the knee. Take the opposite hand. Reach past your ankle. Stretch away. Brush the floor. Make sure that your shoulder that's over your supporting hand, the hand that's on the floor, isn't back here. I was a little bit back there just then. Here we come. All the way in. Round. Draw that belly button in. Round the back. Brush the floor. Get that shoulder over your hand. Over the front of your fingertips actually. The front of your shoulder over your fingertips. And again. Drawing in. Brush the floor and lift, making sure that hips are absolutely level. 2 more. Oops, quite strong on the balance. Last one. Rounding, drawing everything in. Extend, lift and hold. Set your body, set your tissue box. And circles, roughly a tennis ball size circle. Fingertips and toes have got the stickers on. That's where you're making your tennis ball size circle. Everything else is staying still. Change direction. You might find that your arm does a reasonable circle, but your leg turns into more of a triangle or some sort of abstract design. Absolutely fine. Touching the floor, coming in, back to that perfect position, and resting back. Good job. Twiddling fingers. Coming up to here, maybe just clasping those hands and circling the wrist round. Brilliant. Okay, we are looking at the shape of our back in the form of a C curve and a chest lift into rolling like a ball. So, sitting up nice and tall, feet and knees hip width apart, try and sit right up on those sit bones. So the purpose of this is to think about the shape of your spine primarily, and then the shape of the whole body when we go into rolling like a ball. So initially we want the shape of our spine to be in its neutral curves, a neutral spine. So hands underneath the backs of the legs. That means your pelvis is in its neutral position, and then all you're going to do is scoop that tummy in, pull that lower abdomen in, tilt that pelvis backwards so that you go past your sit bones. I'm now on my sacrum, and that makes my upper back round. And from the side, I've now got a C curve-ish. It's a shallow C curve, unfortunately, from the crown of my head down to my sacrum. Holding that position there, really scooping out the front of the body, staying scooped and rounded until my shoulders are above my hips, above the fronts of your hips if you like, and then sitting up really nice and tall. And from here I want to take a little chest lift, and I'm going to look up to the ceiling. I'm trying to repeat that chest pop that we were doing standing, and actually I can lean back quite a way and I can straighten my arms, but I haven't gone all the way back in a straight line. So this would mean, this from the side, I can see in the mirror, I'm now in a dead straight line. That just pushes all this up, which is not good. I'm actually, my pelvis is in neutral. I'm still up on my sit bones, but I'm folding over from here. There, all the way, chest up. Okay, a couple more of those. Through a neutral spine. Tuck the pelvis under. Staying nice and rounded. So ideally you should be quite happily balancing with your feet, not actually needing to be on the floor. Stay rounded, shoulders are over the hips, come through your neutral. Just go a little way with this. But if you've warmed it up nicely and you've got that confidence that your spine will go there, it will. One more, tuck under, scoop. So this is the shape of the spine, the rounded C shape that we're going to want for our rolling like a ball. Feet down, sitting up, right up on those sit bones, and lifting the chest, lifting the face. This is no strain on my neck whatsoever there, because I've lifted here, I've folded over, I've arched that upper back. Okay, so we're going to take some Garuda rolling like a ball today, which I really like. So have a little look. We're going to cross the ankles over. There's two versions. The first version, you can stay with your legs in this position, and I'm sort of putting my hands on top of my shins. I'm crossing my ankles over, pointing my feet. I feel like I'm making everything round. I'm round in this direction. I'm round with my back. I'm sort of, yeah, I feel like I've turned myself into a ball, sort of. So we're here, we're rounded, we're scooped, and then you just stay there basically, and roll back and come up again. I'm trying to maintain my balance when I come back up. So that first time I overshot a little bit. When you come back up, when you're in that balance, just swap the legs over. I'm pushing my heels, ankles together a little bit, crossing over. Making a bit of a thudding today, I don't know why that is. Should be quite nice and smooth. One more. I tend to breathe out as I go back and breathe in as I come back up, but essentially I'm not trying not to hold my breath. So you could do a couple more of those, Or you could move on to a slightly more advanced version maybe, just feels slightly different. Hands are going to be on the floor, yeah. And as you go over, when you're at the height, you're going to extend the legs, cross them over the other way, bend the knees, and come back up again. And let's come back up to a balance if you're doing this one. So hands are just resting. So you're sort of doing like a nice crisscrossy thing. Extend. Couple more of those if you can. And we want to. Last one. And we're there. Brilliant. Okay, well done. We are going to be lying down on our backs. Got quite a few exercises to get through. I need to get a bit of a shifty on. Okay, so we've got hands behind the head for cycling. Yippee, I hear you say. So we're going to take a cycling motion of the legs. Imagine your sticker is on your ankle bone again, and just without doing too much, this is what we want. We want to try and have a nice, it's actually more of a longer sort of flattened circle than we were doing earlier. And the reason, partly the reason for that is because I want to draw this knee in. So let's have our hands at the back of the head. We're going to combine hands, feet pointed, feet flexed. We're going to change direction after a few as well. And then we're going to add some twisting into it at the end. So coming up, clearing your shoulder blades, trying, just bending both knees in, but trying to maintain a neutral pelvis if you can. Keeping the feet pointed, and there we go. We're extending, and we're here. I'm trying to bring this knee in without that pelvis really tucking under. So I'm maintaining a neutral pelvis, but then fully extending the leg. My head is heavy in my hands. If this is way too much for you, keep the hands behind your head just to add a bit of extra balance. Elbows can open out. Take the legs up to the ceiling. Maybe imprint your spine. Yeah, just don't let that happen, but try and maintain a neutral pelvis if you can. The harder version obviously is to stay up with those shoulder blades clear. Obviously I know that you've just all been carrying on doing this while I've been talking and showing you alternatives. Let's change direction. Flexing the feet. Make sure you're still taking a circular movement as opposed to just this. This is single leg stretch, it's just a straight line out to the corner. I want that movement, that extra movement. You're extending the leg and then lifting it up. Taking that cycling action. I'm trying to bring my knees in towards my elbows, which is making it much harder. And breathing, making sure that head is heavy. Elbows forwards, arms are doing all the work of supporting my head. This is really tough on the abdominals. I did a training class with my trainer this morning and he made us do loads and loads of sit-ups. So my abdominals are screaming at me today, or this evening. Whew. Okay, we're going to add, I'm going to give myself a little break here. I just want to show you something. We're going to add an upper body rotation to this, like we did when we were standing with the swimming arms, but we're just going to take the elbows. So just have your have your ankles crossed over, your knees bent in. Release your hands from the back of your head because you can't do it otherwise, and just sort of take. I call this the zhuzhi hairdo. It really messes up your hair if your hair's all loose. But essentially, I'm trying to rotate. In fact, if you put your hands on your shoulders, you're trying to rotate the shoulders in the same way we do in the warm-up. And we might even go in, yes we will, we'll go in both directions. Okay, so hands at the back of the head initially. Let's have pointed feet, let's have the normal direction. Release those hands just so that they're at the side of your head. And then here we go. So I'm trying to touch elbow. Oh dear, trying to touch elbow to the inside of that knee, keeping the legs moving, twisting my shoulders from side to side. Whew, I'm going to reverse the movement now. I'm going to reverse the movement both ends. Feet are straight, feet are flexed, legs are straightening and lifting up, and I'm taking a sort of underneath lift with that elbow. Going from side to side. Let's have 10 more of these. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the other side. Oh dear, drop the head down. So the beauty of the online class for you guys at home is that you can just stop when you've had enough, but hopefully you've carried on and joined in with me a little bit. Brilliant. Okay, we are going to go lying on a yeah, now let's take some bridges just quickly. I'm going to move away from the wall a little bit because we're going to take the arms up. So let's take a straight bridge. Let's move them over with me. So you're going to need to just circle your arms all the way around if you can. So let's take a straight bridge, bringing the feet in nice and close to your hips. Spine is in neutral. Push down through those feet, open up the front of the hips, switch the buttocks on. Arms are going up and over. Hold it there, and then reverse peel down through your spine as you circle the arms around. Getting yourself in a little bit of a tizzy here with my space. So we're going up to the top, taking the arms up and over, reverse peel all the way down. Big breath out. How far, how high can you get those hips up? Really try and open up at the front of the hips. Send the knees away, arms go up and over, leave them there. Get those ribs, make sure the ribs are drawn down, buttocks are switched on. And then as you start to come down, relax, but strongly push down through the muscles at the front of the body to push the back of the body into the mat. Just let those arms sweep all the way around. Let's go one more. All the way up to the top, neutral spine. Arms up and over. Feel like you're lengthening fingertips and knees away from each other. Lift up really nice and high. Push every single vertebrae into the mat as you circle those arms around and back down to your hips. Brilliant. Okay, let's lie on our sides. So side lying figure of 8. Similar to what we did when we were standing in the warm-up, apart from I don't want you to let your hip move this time. I don't want your hip to join in with the movement of the leg. I want you to isolate the leg. So legs are bent, heels in line with your bottom. I've sort of lined myself up with the back of the mat, roughly. So the heels are in line with the spine. And then you're just going to lift that top leg and imagine you're drawing, the sticker is on the knee. Imagine you're drawing a very shallow, slim figure of 8 with that knee. And you do that by dropping the knee down and the foot up. And then you drop the foot down and the knee up. Knee down, foot up, foot down, knee up. And I'm just putting my spare hand on my hip to make sure that this hip doesn't move. So when we were standing, if we were doing that same movement, we were letting the hip go with that leg. Follow it basically. Now I want you to isolate the hip, thigh bone from the hip. So that essentially you're moving that thigh bone around in that hip socket as much as possible. Getting right into all the corners, all the edges in that joint. Same as we were doing with our fingers and our toes, we're trying to keep everything mobile. Making sure the hips stay still, the ribs are connected. your head is in the correct position. Lifting your eye line, think about lengthening the crown of the head out towards the ceiling, out towards the, sorry, not the ceiling, the wall. Brilliant. Just roll onto your back. Hopefully that wasn't too strenuous, but roll onto your back. Taking the same leg, cross it over your other knee, making a figure of 4 shape, and you're going to lift that other leg up. Now for me this isn't too uncomfortable. If you're already feeling quite a strong stretch there, or this is quite tight for you, stay there. If you can, take your hands to that leg that is crossed across. One hand on the foot, the other hand on the shin. Pull the foot down a little bit. At the same time, draw that knee in a little bit more. That will increase the stretch again. Just stay there and breathe. You could maybe, while we're here, take some circles of the foot that's in the air. And then I'd like you to fix the legs in this position and circle them round. Just 2 or 3 in each direction. This is a really nice massage on the lower back, but also we're just stretching out that hip joint, which we've worked a lot in the standing stuff, and then again with those figure of 8s. Wonderful. Let's swap round to the other side. So legs are bent, knees are stacked, hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, head is in the right position, waist is lifted, not collapsed down, so the pelvis is in a good neutral, lifting that top leg up, thinking about the shape you're drawing with your kneecap. It's quite a loose figure of 8. And actually the most important part of this movement is this rotation inwards. Yeah, both movements are important in the sense that it's important that you keep your pelvis still, so that both extremes, so rotation outwards and rotation inwards, you're going as far as you can without the hip joining in, which makes the whole thing so much easier. We want to just push and get to the edges, make the blood flow and all the sort of all the synovial fluid, get it all nicely warmed up, lubricated, but keeping those joints lubricated, that's the important thing. Hips staying still. Brilliant. I'm just going to roll onto my back, crossing that ankle over. This is my tighter hip, so it just feels tighter straight away, even just putting that leg there. If you need to stay there, absolutely do. Just breathe, maybe just rock the legs from side to side. Always just trying to work into these stretches, especially when they're a bit tight. Lifting the leg up, again taking hold of that foot and that shin, pulling the foot down towards your body at the same time as drawing this other knee in. And I'm using my muscles to try and push this knee away from my shoulder. So opening out in that hip joint. And then I'm going to circle. I've forgotten the twiddles of the foot, but oh, I don't necessarily need that on this side. I'm too concentrating on my hip. 3 or 4, 2 or 3 in each direction. Some parts of the circle will be absolutely fine, some parts are going to be really tight. Try and work through the tighter bits, try and relax. And most importantly, breathe. Brilliant. Okay, well done. Good. We have got shoulder clocks. I did these on Monday. I did them facing the other way, and then when I did them again on Thursday, actually, yesterday. And I think this is probably the easiest way for me to do this. I'm going to sort of face away from the camera. We're going to be lying on our side again in that same bent leg position where we just were. Just have a little look before you set yourself up. Hopefully you'll be able to see me, but if not, you can you'll know what you're doing from having a look. So the idea is that we lie on one side, we reach this shoulder and this arm all the way forwards, and the arm might be out of shot, but basically when I take the other hand on top of it, I can't get my hands together. My hand is halfway down my arm, it's practically on my elbow, and then the movement is to circle this arm around along the floor. It's called shoulder clocks, and it's actually a really nice movement for your shoulder. So set yourself up there if you haven't already. Feet and knees are stacked and my hips are stacked at the beginning, but as you start to circle round and open everything up, don't worry if that all changes a little bit. It's more important to have this arm reaching forwards, and maybe have a cushion, a long cushion, if you've got one, underneath your head, especially if it's uncomfortable on your shoulder. But try and reach this arm forward. So I'm just brushing my fingertips along the floor, and I'm moving my head. I'm trying to keep my head heavy on the floor as I go all the way around to the other side. It's a wonderful stretch on this front of that shoulder, that chest, as you open out. All the way around, 5 of these, and then we're going to hold the 5th one. An alternative, if it doesn't suit you, is just to lift the arm up to brush the ceiling, and this is called opening the door. Same sort of thing without the rotation, if you like, in the shoulder joint, might not be available to you. I'm going to do one more shoulder clock. We're going to hold it there. I'm just making sure my head is really relaxed. Breathing. And here's one I didn't do on Monday, but it's an old favourite if you're regulars to my class. It's called the big stretch. I'm going to straighten my top leg. I'm going to put my elbow on this side into the floor and make a cup, make a platform for that leg. And I'm going to take hold of that leg from the underneath. And then I'm just resting this straight leg in this arm. Elbows in the floor, it's supporting it. I'm going to turn my head back in the opposite direction, and I'm going to flex that foot, trying to keep this leg straight, the leg that you're really stretching, and then trying to ease it forward towards my head. It's a very strong stretch. Breathe. It's known as the big stretch. You could twiddle your foot around. If you're really flexing that foot, you should feel a stretch in your calf, the back of your knee, up into your hamstrings. I can feel it stretching on the outside of my hip, my lower back, my mid back, my thoracic spine, upper back, chest is opened out and stretching. That's why it's called the big stretch. It does a whole lot of things. And relax. Let's try all of that work on the other side. I'm just going to roll over to stay in the same direction. I'm trying to sort of line my spine up with in line with the mat-ish. So this shoulder's really stretched forwards, so that when I take that arm there, I can only I'm sort of just past my elbow towards my fingertips are towards my heel of my palm, my wrist. And then that arm is going all the way up along the floor. Your goal is to keep your head on the floor as well. And I'm crashing into my cushions and notes, sweeping all the way around. I'm going to go forwards a little bit more. So we're here. try and take the whole circle. Try and just shift your position a little bit, but watch that you don't go too rounded in your back. Your spine should still be in a neutral spine. Just might need to shift forwards from where you were. So 4 or 5 of these. Remember, if this doesn't work, and if you're crashing into everything, just take the up and over version. Make sure you've got this stretch here going on though. Don't compromise on that one. One more for me, all the way around. I'm going to hold this position, and actually I've just realised I can't do the neck stretch now. Perhaps I won't do this one again. I'm going to move, go there. I'm going to straighten the top leg, put that other elbow, the opposite elbow in the floor, make a cup, a platform with that hand. So resting that leg in the hand. So the leg is at hip height, parallel to the floor. Try and relax it initially. I've turned my head in the opposite direction, the arm is stretching out, and then I'm going to tweak the stretch a little bit more by flexing the foot. Now the stretch is really going into my calf, the back of my knee, into my hamstrings, outside thigh and hip, lower back, mid back, upper back, front of the chest. It is all going on, and breathe. I need to work out maybe a different position of this in a more suitable to the space. Well done if you manage that one. Rolling over onto your front. Last exercise. So just before you lie down, this is going to be the arm movement we're going to take. So we're going to bring the arms up the side seam of your top, your torso, past your face. They're going to come up in front of up above your head. You're going to turn your palms away and take a back extension as you bring the arms round. And then we're going to lower down, lifting up, and turn away as you turn the palms away as you circle the arms round. So let's have the legs hip width apart, slightly turned out or parallel. Connect your rib cage to your hips, push that pubic bone into the mat a little bit. Start with the shoulders collapsed, rounded, backs of the hands on the floor, and then just lift the back of the head and neck up a little bit. So your neck is nice and long, your head is in line with the rest of your spine, and then wipe the backs of your hands or your thumbs along the side seam of your torso. Come up to your armpits. Extend the arms forwards. My thumbs are up, and then I'm going to turn my palms, so facing outwards, and it's like I'm taking a big backstroke swim. As I do that, as I bring my arms round towards my feet, I'm lifting my back, and then I'm lowering and going again. Let's take 2 more. Arms past your face, thumbs are up, turn the palms, and lift that back. 1 more of those if you can. This is strong work. An alternative would be just to come up onto your elbows and hold the Sphinx stretch, so you might just want to be here and just hold that. Otherwise, we are there. We've done a good job for today. Brilliant. So let's come up onto all fours. Take some spine circles, a couple in each direction. So vertical circles. I'm going to curl my toes under. I'm just going to push on my hands back onto my feet into a nice deep squat. Trying to get my heels down. I'm just moving a little bit from side to side. Maybe dropping those knees down, pushing back, lifting the chest. And then finishing off onto all fours, curl those toes under, lift your hips up, push your chest back for a nice downward dog. And breathe, rise up onto the balls of the feet. Lift your heels up really nice and high. Bend your knees a little bit. Send your sit bones high up to the ceiling and the corner of the room. Then push your heels down. Keep those legs straight. Push that chest back even more. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Strong old stretch. And then if you can, walk the hands back to the feet. Soft knees. Feet are parallel. Rolling up through the spine. Head is the last thing up. Strongly push that belly button. Pull that belly button in. Push that pubic bone forwards. Adjust your clothing before you do a shoulder roll. Good job. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you next week.